Hey, Dodge finally revealed the Charger Daytona EV today, and man, it's everything I think that we hope for. It's the first EV muscle car. Love it. It is Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. Let's get to it. Happy Tuesday, everybody. And I told you this was going to be a big year and a big week for EV news. And I wasn't wrong, because today Dodge unveiled the 2024 Charger Daytona EV, the world's first electric muscle car. Just because Ford put the name Mustang on the Mach-E doesn't make it a muscle car. It's not. It's an SUV. It doesn't count. They should never called it Mustang. This car, though, earns the title of Charger Daytona. It is worthy of that title. It is badass. It's going to come in two trims from the start. The RT with 496 horsepower and 404 pound-feet of torque with a 0 to 60 of 4.7 seconds. And the Scat Pack version, which is going to come with 670 horsepower, 627 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 of 3.3 seconds. And how much do you want to bet that they'll probably offer some kind of upgrade at some point, over-the-air software upgrade that'll give you more horsepower? That's what's great about EVs. You can kick them up. And probably the biggest news for me out of this, or the thing that I think is the coolest, is it's a hatchback. That is badass. A hatchback muscle car is too cool for school, man. I am excited for this car. And this is what we want from EVs, right? We want them to not just be like weird, but cool. And this is a cool EV. And I think if you're a car guy, like this is the kind of thing that, like, I think, like car guys, like, okay, Mr. Batman. Mr. Batman wants to be on camera as always. He's a little attention hog. Car guys, this is the kind of thing I think will turn car guys more to EVs. I think up until now, like if you're a gearhead, like you like to work on cars, you're probably not super excited about a Tesla, because what are you going to do with a Tesla, right? You're not going to wrench it. There's not much you can do, quote unquote, under the hood, right? And it's just probably like if you're into like, drag strip racing, all that kind of stuff, like you're probably not super into Polestar, even though I think Polestars are awesome. Obviously, I have one. There's probably not been a lot of exciting EV stuff for you, but this is for car guys, to get car guys and gals. No, there's no gender rules here. This is to get people that are into cars, that like cars, and just like all the muscly stuff, to dig EVs, because this thing is going to be slick. And man, just scrolling through some of the images, but I think one of the coolest things about it is that they didn't really change it much from the concept car that they showed off about a year or so ago. It pretty much looks the same, and that is super awesome, because that thing looked badass. And what they revealed today is, in Ron Burgundy terms, it is the balls. And this is, I think, is going to be another sort of evolution for EVs, where it's going to bring more people in. I think it's super cool. I don't know if it's something that I would buy, because I'm not like trying to race anybody. I'm not driving a race car. But people that dig speed and dig muscly stuff and just like to drive fast and, have a cool looking car that sounds cool, I mean, this is the one for them. And, I just think this is it's a big jump. I mean, Dodge hasn't really done a true EV yet. This is going to be their first EV, and I think it looks killer. And they're targeting some pretty sweet mileage numbers or range numbers as well. I mean, they're saying the RT is going to get 300 miles of range, and even the Scat Pack with 670 horsepower is going to be capable of like 260 miles of range. Now, again, that's probably in perfect conditions, perfect world, eco mode, whatever. But that's still pretty good considering the power of these things. But one of the things I thought was really cool is the CEO of Dodge basically said, like most of the time, most companies that are making EVs, they do so many things to increase range, for aero and lighter parts and all that. And he was like, screw that. We're making this thing to go fast and to be powerful and to be a true muscle car. To hell with the range. And That is super cool. I love the fact that he's basically just saying it like, hey, we're not making compromises for range. This is going to be a Dodge Charger. And the cool thing too is they're going to come out with a 4-door version in 2025, which is super cool because, it brings back, sort of the Challenger and the Charger of old. And they're actually even going to bring out a gas-powered version next year, which is going to be a V6, an inline six, but it's not going to have the horsepower of the EVs because why? EVs are way more powerful, and you can give it all that torque. So, and it's going to be all-wheel drive. I mean, there's just so many things about this that excite me. I love the fact that Dodge is doing this, that it's finally going to be coming out this year. I mean, I saw the CEO of Stellantis maybe a week or so ago on CNBC talking about it, saying it's coming. This is big news. And, I think it's weird that, like, I don't know, maybe it's just what I see or what I notice, but it seemed like after they announced this last year, it wasn't like the biggest news. It wasn't like, I don't think people remember with the Cybertruck for 4 years, people were like, when's it coming? When's it coming? And, when it started to get close, it was sort of leaking out and it was like, it was just like building up, right? This was kind of like almost under the radar, which is kind of weird. But I mean, already, if they only announced it today, and there's like tons of videos on YouTube already and tons of articles out there. I mean, this obviously they brought a lot of people in probably in advance and had an embargo on it. But I mean, this is big for EVs. I think this is like one of the coolest EVs that's come out, if not the coolest EV that's come out. And, American-made muscle isn't going anywhere, man, just because it's an EV. It's still going to have balls. It's still going to haul ass. And that's what we want, right? From our big old American muscle cars. And, for all the people that kind of felt like EVs were going to sort of kill this kind of stuff off, because this won't be the last one. I mean, you got to think that at some point, Chevy is going to put out an EV Camaro, which would be freaking awesome. I'm hoping they're going to do that. We all know, like, there's the Corvette E-Ray, which is a hybrid, but we all know there is a full EV Corvette coming probably next year. So, American-made sports muscle cars aren't going anywhere. They're just going to get better. They're going to be more efficient. They're going to be a little quieter maybe, but this Dodge EV does have that Fratzonic exhaust, they call it, that will make it just as loud as a Challenger ever was when it was, and you can rev this thing. Like, you can't rev any EVs, but this one you can rev. So it's like, what's not to love? And honestly, at this point, like, if you're into this kind of stuff, like if you're like a big time car guy and you're like a Challenger muscle car kind of guy, like, why would you still want a gas powered version? Like, this can do all the stuff the gas powered ones can do and more. And it's probably going to be way more fun to drive. So again, this gets me like super pumped for the future of EVs, and for all the people out there that think EVs are a passing fad, that they're not going to last. This is the kind of thing that proves that they are, and that more and more people are going to start waking up to the fact that EVs are super cool, super awesome. And within the next few years, there's going to be a type of EV for whatever type of vehicle you want. You want a muscle car? Here you go. You want an SUV? There's going to be a whole bunch of options. You want sports sedans? Already got a lot of those. Like, there's going to be something for everybody. The charging is getting better. There's going to be no reason to stick with gasoline cars anymore. They're smelly. They pollute. They're bleh. EVs are the way, man. I love it. Very excited. We all know EVs are awesome, and EV muscle cars are awesome, and it's okay to be awesome. I will see you guys tomorrow. Boom.